Scoping and scalability. So we're going to talk about the scope and scalability of a system. Scoping is really how far can your application see, or what does your application see in terms of other applications, in terms of the topics of other applications. Sometimes our applications want to dynamically connect and or disconnect from other applications in the same system, and may do so repeatedly during system operation. In other cases, you may only want to access a subset of the topics. You either want to publish a subset of the topics or subscribe to a subset of the topics. So the visibility of topics is also a scoping use case. Of course, larger projects that use DDS may use DDS to not only build a subsystem, but also use DDS to integrate those subsystems. So if DDS is used internally in a subsystem and externally, it's quite easy for internal data to be leaked to the external data if you don't design the system properly, if you don't design your subsystem properly. So you may not want to be able to have external systems be able to touch your internal data, either look at it or even publish it. But if you're using DDS, that could be quite easy to do. So how do you control that? In larger systems, you're also usually integrating on top of different network technologies, and different network technologies, multiple networks being used at the same time. These technologies can be quite different in terms of throughput speed, in terms of how reliable they are, in terms of how lossy they are. And then thus, when you're using DDS on those types of systems, when you have an application that has access to those different types of networks, you're going to need to be able to configure DDS to act appropriately depending on which network the data is going over. So let's take a look at some features in DDS that allows you to control scoping as well as scalability. The first is not actually a quality of service. It's a little bit more fundamental than that. It is an integer that you use when you create a domain participant. Domain participants are created with a domain ID. There's only one domain ID per domain participant, and domain participants only talk to other domain participants that use the same ID value. So you can think of it as a room number. If the network is like a building and the building has lots of rooms in it, two applications, two people can only talk to each other directly if they're in the same room. Okay, so if they're sharing the same domain ID. Domain participants in different rooms in different domains using different domain ID values won't ever talk to each other. They don't even know that each other exists. So only participants with the same domain ID will be able to connect and exchange data. The partition QoS allows you to control communications within a domain. So even if two participants are in the same domain, you may or may not want their data writers and data readers to connect. And of course, these are data writers and data readers that would connect because they're on the same topic. But then you want to dynamically kind of group and ungroup those data writers and data readers. And you can do that using the partition QoS.